You're to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
International success coach and noted author Constance Arnold delivers life-changing strategies through her own spiritual practices, as well as with best-selling authors and experts that she interviews. Think, Believe, and Manifest is specially designed to empower your mind and words to work for you and to bring about a life you've been dreaming of. And now, here's Constance Arnold.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Law of Attraction Radio Network. And of course, you know who I am. I'm Constance Arnold, host of the Think, Believe, and Manifest talk show on the Law of Attraction Radio Network. I'm so excited and grateful that you joined me today from all over the world. And I can truly say, I believe it's a setup. I know it is because the Spirit of God has attracted you here so that you can receive the answers that you've been praying about, just those downloads, that one thing that you need, that you feel like you desire, that's going to shift you. And I believe that this show today will help you do that. Well, it is a beautiful day here in Atlanta. It's really hot Atlanta. That's our nickname because it gets so hot here and it feels like a summer day looking out of my window at the blue skies. But I am really, really grateful for this day and for the opportunity to come into your life again. Well, a couple of things are going on. I've had a great week and I have been honored and blessed and humbled to be on the cover of the new release of the Law of Attraction magazine. And you can go to 𝗏ofAttractionMagazine.net and you can read it digitally for free. I've written an article on gratitude. You guys know I'm really big on gratitude because it is so awesome just learning about how just being grateful really attracts to you what you desire. But additionally, there are other great articles in the magazine. So you can read it digitally free, but I'm going to push you a little bit and invite and encourage you to go to that website and really subscribe. So that means that every time a new magazine comes out, it comes to you. I don't know if it comes in printed form. I know digitally, I got that out that it will be sent to you. And I would love for as many of you who this show has blessed to really, really do that. Okay? All right, what else? Make sure you visit my website at fulfillingyourpurpose.com. When you're on that website, my goodness, you can take a look in my store. I have some videos on my website. You can check out my coaching packages. Wow, my coaching encourages me. I was telling a friend of mine, my clients they just being a baller. I mean, they are just manifesting left and right because they've made a decision to make the investment within themselves. Next week, I'm going to bring on one of my clients, and she has a remarkable story. Also, if you're really desiring love, I feel like my book, Attracting and Manifesting Genuine Love, really helps you to deal with your patterns, your beliefs first, and then I give you some specific principles and how-tos as to how you can really attract love in your life. And then I have an additional MP3 attracting love affirmation that is so awesome. So, invest in yourself for your own personal development. Send me an email at constance at fulfillingyourpurpose.com and just let me know how this show is shifting, changing, transforming you from the inside out. Today, my guest is my friend Jaden Sterling. And as many of you know, Jaden is a baller. He retired at 31. And I think financially, he was in the top 1% of people who lived in the U.S. And he's going to be talking to us today about money, how to give money, how to receive it, how to invest it, and how to manifest more money. So you better tell your friends about this show. And lastly, make sure you check me out on social media. On YouTube, you can just type in my name, Constance Arnold. On Instagram, LOA Constance, and you would just see some wonderful, like I said, that post and some inspirational, like 1 or 2 minute of some videos and some audios. And then you can follow me on Facebook. Once again, that's Coach with Constance. I had to remember that. And of course, Twitter is LOA Constance. Y'all got that right. Twitter and Instagram is LOA Constance, and Facebook is Coach with Constance. And before I go to break, it's always an honor. I feel honored and privileged that you allow me to come into your home, to come into your heart every week. Some of you listen to me every week, and I'm just honored and blessed. And if this show, and I know it is, I'm going to change if to, I know this show is a blessing to you. It's changing you, it's transforming you. Then when you're on my website, you can make your donation to this show. And I am thanking you in advance for that donation. And I'm just blessed and honored to be in the position to serve you. So, if anybody's interested in more money, more money, more money, so that you can give more money, more money, more money, so that you can invest in yourself and others, stay tuned. And I'm going to be right back with my dear friend Jaden Sterling.
Do you have an upcoming event where you need a dynamic speaker? Constance Arnold is a sought-after keynote speaker that will enlighten the entire audience with proven strategies that are aligned with your organization's vision and mission. An experienced speaker for major Fortune 500 companies, Constance has entertained audiences with inspiring change. Constance would love to make your next event an extraordinary success. Contact her today at Constance@fulfillingyourpurpose.com.
For the past 30 years, Constance Arnold has coached clients globally in the areas of relationships, wealth, and career. Her vast clinical background gives her extraordinary understanding of human behavior to accelerate manifestation. Every coaching client receives proven action plans to create change from the inside out. Constance will be right by your side. Talk to her today at Constance@fulfillingyourpurpose.com.
Okay, everybody, I'm back and really excited about my guest. Always honored to have my dear friend Jaden Sterling. He is an author. He's an entrepreneur. I think he retired at some ridiculous age of like 31. He understands investments, stocks and bonds, Wall Street, and he understands the energy of money. And so I'm so excited to have him back on the show again. And he lives all the way in beautiful Canada for my international listeners. And so we're just so grateful and blessed. I call him my brother from another mother back on the show. Jaden Sterling, welcome to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
Oh, thank you, Constance. It's so nice to be here. I always love connecting with you on and off the air, and I am thrilled for our call today and our show. I know we're going to share a lot of helpful information for folks out there looking to up-level their money game and change money in their life.
Well, I wanted you to come on because you are the real deal, folks. I know this man. He is a good man, a humble man. He's very successful. He never brags or boasts about money. But believe me, he's just not talking it. He's been living it for decades. And so whenever I have a money question, I always call him, and he just sort of lives in that wealth money vibration. So Jane, tell our listeners kind of what you've been doing and what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Constance, for your kind words. You're amazing. And so today, my goal is to share some concepts that I've worked with within myself and with clients for over 30 years now. And so my goal is to juice 30 years of experience with this thing that we call money, the energy of money, and to share with our listeners what works and things to also avoid. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. My goal is when someone finishes our show, they feel uplifted, they feel inspired, they feel like, okay, now I know certain areas that I can change and that will help me instantly improve my finances. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. How does that work for you,
That
Constance?
works for me. So where do you want to start? Because I love it, Jaden, because you just not talking about money. You understand the energy of money, investing money, capitalism, how to earn money, how to save money, how to spend money, and you just understand wealth. So where do you want to start with listeners?
Let's start with the idea of, and I was thinking about this right before we got on the air, and I was asking the universe to share with me the concepts that would really connect in with our listeners. And the very first thing I heard was money is a verb, and it responds to activity.
Ooh.
So I know it's so good. Most people are told money's a noun. No. It's a verb. It responds to your action and activity, or inactivity as well. And I think that's a great place to get started, is to help people recognize that they are the initiator and the co-creator of abundance in their life. And what better way to attract something of high vibration like money than to start with a giving attitude?
Huh.
It's true, isn't it? The more we give of our resources, and I'm not just referring to money, I'm talking about time and energy and, maybe being a helpful person for someone, or, really from the spirit of giving value, of making a difference in someone's life. I've always seen in my life a direct return of abundance when I start with being a giver.
Wow. And so what you're saying, Jaden, for anyone out there who's thinking or feeling like, I want more money, I need money, how can I make money? How can I become rich and wealthy? Are you saying that one of the main vibrations or energy that folks should be living in is giving?
It's exactly what I'm saying. Look, in my life, I've had money, I've been broke, I've struggled, and at 19, when my credit card was denied, I was at the grocery store trying to check out. This was 31 years ago, so it's been quite a while.
Oh, Jaden, you still look like a baby. Age is just a number, honey.
Age is a number. I agree with you, Constance. But that's really where my journey started, and my credit card was declined, and she said, "Excuse me, so sorry, sir, it didn't go through. Do you have another card?" And I said, "No, I don't." And I said, "I'll be right back." So I went outside the store, and back in the day, maybe if some of your millennial listeners might not know what these are, but there was a phone booth there. Remember,
I
back at the
remember
phone
the
booth, right?
proverbial phone booth.
You remember. You remember.
Right.
Some of our listeners don't have a clue. So you youngins listen to this. We used to have these things called phone booths, and so we'd have to go into this booth and make a phone call. So I called the number on the back of the card, and I said, explain my situation. I'm at the grocery store and trying to check out. Would you please let this go through? And they said, no, you're already overdrawn.
Mm.
And it was in that moment, Constance, I was so embarrassed. I couldn't even go back into the store. I just got in my little 1976 Chevy Chevette and drove home, cried the whole way home. And I said to myself, I've got to figure out this money game, because this is not how I want to live. And it was in that moment that, I took a deep dive into money. You're right. I worked on Wall Street for 12 years.
Mhm.
I learned all the aspects of money that really make a difference in our finances. I learned how to invest my money. And now 20 years later, I've been teaching that ever since, and it's been a phenomenal journey. So I've worked with thousands of people around the world with this energy that we call money. So I have an idea of what works and what doesn't. And that's why I said the very first thing, if someone is sitting there going, gosh, I'm strapped for money, or they're looking at their checkbook and they're not really seeing the balance that they want to have in there, the very first thing they can do is be a giver. Ask themselves, how can I give right now? Because because everything is energy, and that attitude kickstarts the energy of money. It puts that vibration in motion, and we know we always get back what we put out. So if we're putting out a generous spirit and that we're a giver, it just makes sense, like the breath that you automatically exhale after the inhale. And same with money. After you give, you can automatically receive. And that's the piece. And that's what I love about you, Constance. In fact, you have really, you're welcome. You've really modeled that for me over the years that we've been friends. I've watched you receive so well. I call you a first-class receiver.
I am. I know how to receive really good.
You do. I mean, like I say, you've taught me, and I am so grateful to you for that. And now I really recognize the importance of receiving, because we can say to the universe, look, I want $1 million, but if we can't receive a compliment, something so simple that costs nothing, then we're fooling ourselves when we're in a belief that we can receive $1 million. So, as we work with the energy of receiving, I think it's really important to recognize where you are. So we all are at a different place and level with our finances. And the reality is, no matter where someone is in their finances right now in this very moment, listening to this recording, whether they're listening to it in 2019 or 2029, they really have to acknowledge and be okay with where they are. Because now, I'm not saying to our listeners out there that you have to like where you are with your finances. I'm not saying that you have to, stay where you are or stay stuck. Not at all. I'm saying the way to unstick yourself is to accept your finances, accept yourself where you are right now. So for some of you, you know what, I'm going to encourage you to get out a little piece of paper and a pencil, and you're going to write 2 columns on that paper, and one is called assets and the other is called liabilities. And assets are those things that you own. So that's cash in the bank. That's your car. If some of you have a home, that would be an asset. Everything that you own, stocks, maybe a 401k or an IRA or some other type of registered retirement plan, those are all assets. And on the other side, you're going to write down all the money you owe. You're going to write down your mortgage and your credit card balances and your lines of credit and your 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝗏 credit card there. Whatever else you got going on. Liabilities are those things that take money out of your pocket. Assets put money in your pocket. So your goal is to make sure that your assets are greater than your liabilities. And then you can start really rocking and rolling with your finances. But that's step number 1. Get to where you are. And if they're not, it's okay. Make it okay. Accept where you are and say, all right, up until now, maybe I haven't made the best financial decisions, and that's why my liabilities exceed my assets, and I'm okay with that. I can change it, but I'm not going to beat myself up anymore.
That's so powerful, because like you, Jaden, I've made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and invested, should have invested, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But you learn those lessons, and so what you're saying is so powerful, and it's a hallelujah moment because and an exciting moment because no matter where a listener might be, they have something that they can give. So are you saying that no matter after they write down their assets and liabilities, should they begin to energize the vibration of abundance by giving money or by giving anything?
Great question, Constance. Yeah, just give, right?
Okay.
Like if they figure out that they've got more time than money, then great, donate your time. Um, one thing I've noticed that really brings out a quick turnaround with finances, random acts of kindness.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And that can be anonymous, or it can be where this person knows that you're doing something. But that does a couple things. First, it benefits the person that you've done that random act of kindness for, and secondly, it benefits you because you feel so good, right? Don't we feel so good when we do
Right.
racks?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just this morning, I got back from the Law of Attraction cruise some weeks ago, and they had given some gift bags, and they gave me two. And I said to myself, I'm going to give this to somebody. And then I had bought some earrings, got too many earrings, Jade. And I said, I'm going to give these to somebody. And it felt so good. And I didn't know that you were going to say what you're sharing. And so that's a great example of just getting in the flow of giving and receiving.
That's a beautiful example. And yeah, and you felt good about it, and you blessed someone else, and that's going to start a whole host of good things coming for you. And here's the amazing thing about what we're describing. It's like oxygen. You can't see it, but you know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how I always refer to the energy of money. It's like it's all around us at all times. It's just a matter of doing some very simple things that will allow for it to come into your physical world in the form of financial manifestation. And I've got a couple ideas how
Okay,
our listeners can do that. Would you like to hear
I
some of them?
would.
So, as I was sitting in stillness before our call, the idea dropped in. I basically felt inside, like an impression on the inside of share with the audience what you know works. And I thought, all right. So then I just wrote down a few things that I know
Mm-hmm.
works. And one thing I know to be true is in order to change our relationship with money and improve it, we have to get past spending money for emotional reasons.
Oh my goodness, I'm fanning myself. Keep talking, Jaden.
You're in that hot Lansing community fanning yourself over there. You know what I'm saying? We
I
got
know
to get past,
exactly what you're saying.
like we spend for emotional reasons. I mean, it's there's a phrase for it, keeping up with the Joneses, right? And my friends, that is not the way to financial freedom. We've got to start saving money for financial freedom. And so here's the idea that came through: live rich and out of sight.
Hmm.
So
What
I
does
want
that
to
mean?
thank you for asking, because I want to explain that.
Okay.
So often, people, I see it all the time, they do the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
They want to live rich in plain sight. They want to drive that fancy car. They want to have that Rolex on their wrist. They want to have that Gucci Poochie purse thing going on, and that Hermes belt, and all these things that they think gives them an appearance of being rich. And the reality is, a lot of these things, yes, they're luxury items and they're nice to have, but a lot of them are being bought on credit cards
Mm-hmm.
with money that people don't have. And maybe this is a hard thing for some people to hear, but let's, if we're going to make a difference in people's lives with their finances, we've got to help them open their eyes to actually what they're doing currently.
Mm-hmm.
And there is nothing wrong with living, I'm even going to suggest, below your means, not above your means. And that's why 7 out of 10 people in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck. It's why 4 out of 10 people in the United States can't even come up with an extra $400 cash, because they are strapped and broke, because they're spending way beyond their means, and they can't even keep up with the interest expense on those credit cards, let alone paying them off. So my friends, if this is your situation, if we're speaking to you, then you have an opportunity starting today to get a hold of your spending and start saving. And this is how you do it.
That's so true. I know a guy, and he is rich, rich, rich. When he comes near you, just like, wow. But this guy is so simple. He wears khaki pants and a polo shirt all of the time. I mean, that's kind of like it. And I told, every time I see him, I always say, you vibrating wealth, and he just laughs. But he lives a humble life. I mean, he has beautiful things, but you would never know it. He
That's
doesn't wear a
it.
lot of expensive. He could. He doesn't
You
wear a
could.
lot of expensive jewelry. I've never seen him wear it. And I think you're so right on with that. That our culture, reality TV, gotta have it now. Professional players buying 10 cars and all of that, and then they're broken like, 4 years. You're so right on, Jaden, with that.
Well, I appreciate that, and again, it's this type of understanding sometimes is a big pill to swallow.
Hmm.
It's like someone's got to wrap their mind. First, they got to get real, and they got to say, okay, I admit I am a spending fiend, and I've got to control my spending.
Hmm.
And by the way, savings is the only way to conquer poverty.
Mm.
A poverty mindset or mentality or experience has nothing to do with the amount of money someone is bringing in. You can have a poverty-stricken millionaire because they may bring in $1 million, but they might be spending $2 million.
Hmm.
So
So good.
it's not about the dollar amount. It's about the habits that you're invoking with the money that you've got.
Hmm.
So here we go, listeners. This is the big step. Constance, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Got to
That's,
start saving money.
hmm
Let me be specific about which money to save. It's the first dollars in, not the last.
hmm
Because most people will do this. They'll look at their paycheck, they'll match up their bills, and if they have anything left, which is only a few, very small percentage of the United States, if they have anything left, they'll save it. And I'm going to encourage everyone to do the exact opposite. I'm going to encourage you to create today, as you listen to this show, as this show comes into your world, into your experience, there's a reason for it. There's no accident. So I want you to start today, and I want you to set up a savings account at the bank. And it has to be an account that you can't have easy access to. Just make sure that it's off your radar. You don't link it to your checking account, whatever. This has to be a whole separate thing that you can't be taking out of and robbing yourself. You've got to leave that money in there. And you can start small. Start with 3% of the cash that you bring in. For every $100, that's $3. Constance, everyone can do that, right?
Yeah, so true.
Everyone can do that. So $3, 3%, $3 goes into that account, and then what will happen is over time, you'll start to see that account build up, and you'll start to feel, I call this attitude money. Your attitude will get better because you've got this little cushion. You've got this cushion that's growing. You know what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
got this cushion, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're starting to feel more secure because you've now created a habit that's serving you and not hindering you with your money.
I love that. So listeners are creating a habit.
Absolutely.
Right. I know my dad, who only went to the 10th grade, when he made his transition, I think he was only making Jay maybe $100 a week, if that much. And he was an avid saver, and he left my mom very well off
Wow.
just by
That's
saving and giving, because he was a big giver, but just by
wow.
saving and giving. And I was stunned when I took care of his affairs, when he made his transition, because I didn't realize that he had that much money to leave my mom. So that's a great example of
It is.
somebody. He, maybe $100 a week, and there were four of us that he was caring for, and my mom could just sit back and relax. So that was exhibit A for me.
And what a beautiful example of his legacy. And that's a perfect story of it. Doesn't it? It's not about our cash flow. Look, if we're living in North America or in any country for that matter that's not a third world country, there's not a lack of money. There's plenty of money to go around. I mean, in
Hmm.
our global society, $4 trillion trades hands every single day. A
Wow.
trillion, that's a lot of money. That's a million billion.
Wow.
So
A
there's no lack,
million billion.
a million billion. There's not a lack of money. There's a lack of discipline and habits around saving it, because this is the lie people tell themselves. They say, well, when I start earning more money, I'll start saving money. And that's not at all what happens. Society is constructed in a way to separate you from your money, i.e., spend, consumerism. That is how it's situated and built. It makes the economy go around, right? We hear about the economy. What does that mean? It just means, are people spending money or aren't they? And the economy needs people to spend money to make it go around. So we need to resist the urge, and we need to purge our spending habits. We need to change them, and we need to get to the point where we can honor ourselves and receive the good that the universe has for us by saving our money. And then once we start implementing that kind of discipline, it gets easier and easier and easier. I'll tell you a story I'll never forget. When I worked on Wall Street, my mom I worked for a Wall Street firm, Citigroup, and they moved me out to California for 2 years to oversee the asset management division in Southern California. And they paid me very well to do that. And my mom came to visit me, and I had, it was just a simple home. It was like um, uh, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It had a little swimming pool in the back, and just a very simple home, very unassuming. And okay, and I had a Mercedes, but that was, I lived other than that very simply. And my mom came to visit me, and she says, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? She says, why do you live like this? I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you don't collect anything. You don't have stuff in your home. Like, I said, I sure do. I collect stock certificates. And I was really sincere about that because, yes, I earned a high income, but I also was saving $20,000 a month.
Hmm.
So that allowed me to retire because I saved that level of money, I invested it, and I retired, like you said, at 31. But it was because I saved it. I wasn't out, spending like crazy and living beyond my means. I lived way below my means because I had a vision of getting out of corporate America and doing exactly what I'm doing today, which is helping people get their finances
Well,
straightened out.
Jaden, before you move on to the next point, I was the opposite. Even though my father saved, I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to be a baller. And so I remember I got my first credit card in college, and it was probably only $300, but I maxed it out. But I think in my 20s, I learned that I was trying to feel something outside of me with things. And I said I want the best and I want to have the best, but I did not take into consideration, the discipline of money. And then I married my ex-husband, by the way, who was very wealthy, and he was older than me, so he understood money and saving money and investing in money. So it was with him that I really began to learn. I didn't know what it was then, but the energy of money and investing money. And so for me, for listeners, it's been a process. And even now, somebody said to me, because I kind of dropped my phone and it cracked a little bit. They like, it's time for you to get a new that next new level iPhone. I'm like, nope. My iPhone, I'll get a new screen. I don't need a new iPhone. And so, that's just an example of how I just had to go through I went through the process of really learning about money and giving and receiving, etc.
That's a beautiful story, and it really does describe so well the mentality. Oh, you got a little break on the phone, get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you're so wise to know. Well, we can get this fixed. I had the same thing. I dropped my iPhone in the sink in a water, and my first response was like, oh, geez, now I have to get a new phone. But I waited a few days, and it works great. It just has these little, they look like clouds on my screen at the top a little bit. So I always figure, well, that's me. My head's in the clouds sometimes, so now I get this true example on my phone. So,
That's a great example.
And people are going to be listening to this and, probably laughing about this, but hear the message. The message is, I know we live in this, it almost feels like a little bit of a disposable society. Have you noticed that?
Right.
Like people buy clothes, everything's so cheap in price that people buy clothes. And, we have friends who they just every season they just have a new wardrobe because that's just how they roll. And and it's like, yeah, I guess you could do that, and you could keep still getting that new phone and that new this and that new that. But the reality is, you can't be wealthy and a spender at the same time.
So true. Somebody asked, I think Warren Buffett, a question: would he buy a new car? And I think the answer was no. I'm not going to buy a new car because with the amount that a person would have to pay for a car over the years, I can make $1 million with that. And so, because they were
Yeah.
questioning him about why do you drive an old car, Warren? You're one of the
I,
richest men in the world.
He is the richest investor in the world,
Is he?
and you're absolutely right. Um, if anyone wants to learn a little more about some really good habits, money habits, learn it from Warren. I mean, he talks about, you just look him up on YouTube, Warren Buffett, Buffett. He talks about when he started his first business. He talked about at age 11 he made his first investment. He says, I wasn't living my life up until then. I mean, he's just a crack up. And yet, he does have that mentality of a saver, and it's worked out super well for him. And he's also in it for the long term, and that's another thing that I'd really love to talk to our listeners about.
Okay,
Is
go ahead, Jay.
we're in this, a lot of times we take a real short-term view of things. It's like, well, I've been saving for a year, I'm not rich yet, what's the problem? Or I invested my money, I bought this stock 2 months ago and it didn't double, what's the problem? It's like, whoa, okay, we need to relax with our money, and we need to, what I call, stay in it to win it. So, for me, it took 11 years, my whole, from 20 to 31, that whole decade, to be a saver, to be an investor, to then have enough money to comfortably get out of working in corporate America. But that was an 11-year process that I was committed to because I had a vision of what my life could look like. And it was, for me, that was called freedom. This was my freedom exit strategy. I remember, I'll never forget it. I sat on the beach in Hawaii in August of 1999. And I was on the beach and I was scripting, writing, what does my freedom strategy look like? And I said, it looks like getting out of corporate America. It looks like owning real estate. It looks like being of service to others. It looks like having time freedom to go anywhere I want in the world with anyone I want at any time that I want. And as I wrote this down, I felt it really strong on the inside. And to me, that meant fulfillment. It was actually not about the money. It was about living a life of fulfillment. And it's funny, I thought, and I put my little, I don't like the word deadline, I like the word finish line. So my finish line for that was exactly a year later, August 19th of the year 2000. And do you know, I actually reached my goal by January 21st, 2000. So I believe that when we know and are clear about what it is that we desire, and we have the courage to write it out, to script it, to energetically put our commitment to that goal. So that's what writing does. It commits you. It just makes it a much more, it's like even more solid than a universal handshake, right? It's just that thing that you say, all right, I am committed to this goal, and I signed the bottom of it, and I dated it, and I said to the universe, all right, now let's make this thing happen. And it happened way faster than I thought it would, and it happened in a bigger way than I thought it would. It was just phenomenal. So, that is when we make the leap from, we start as a saver. We then make the leap into investing into assets that will grow your finances. And I'm not talking mutual funds. Mutual funds are really bad for your financial health. In fact, friends, don't let friends buy mutual funds. Stay away from them. They're crappy investments.
Hey, I wish I had known you some decades ago, Jaden. Where were you?
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
And so Jaden, we're talking about, for people to be accountable, committed for the long term. And so were you feeling antsy, like when is this going to come to pass, for that decade, when you were sitting out on the beach in Hawaii and you wrote out what you wanted? And really, by the way, what you wrote out was wealth, because freedom is wealth. Traveling with friends anytime you want to is wealth. So that in between stage, how did you stay committed and focus on that financial goal?
Great question. Every month I committed to saving money.
Mm-hmm.
I never wavered from my goal, because you see, whenever I woke up every morning, I knew, okay, I'm one step closer. I'm one step closer. And as long as you stay in it and committed to your goal and to the vision that you have, it is true. Every morning you wake up, you are a step closer. So, just allow that to really fill you up from the inside out and to keep you focused. And yeah, I never, ever deviated. I stayed to my plan. I stayed clear, and the universe lined it up so quickly. It was like once January rolled around in 2000, I realized, wow, I'm at my goal, like I can do this. And I remember flying to New York. My boss was out of New York, and I flew for my annual review. I flew to New York for the annual review, and I was on the plane, and I was thinking, what if he says to me, really, is this a ploy for more money? Like I had to ask myself that. I had to say, do I have a dollar amount? Would there be an actual dollar amount that would keep me in that job? And I asked myself that question on the plane ride, and I said, well, what would that look like? Would it be $1 million? Like, what if I earned $1 million in this role every year? Would I still want to stay in the job? And I was so clear. The answer was like, it has nothing to do with the money. It was about the freedom. And sure enough, I get there, and I tell my boss, he talks to me about my performance. He says, we're so impressed with you. You've done amazing things in your territory. I mean, literally, I took that territory from 100 million in sales to 300 million in sales within
Wow.
a 22-year period. So we did big things out there. And he said to me, you've earned your top bonus. It's blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the dollar amount now. And I said, great, thank you. And I said, oh, I have something to share with you. And he said, what is it? And I said, I'm retiring. And he
Wow.
said, what? And I said, yeah, I'm resigning from this role. And he said, well, what if I don't accept your resignation?
Mm.
And I said, you don't have a choice. I am resigning. And he said, oh, okay, I see. It's about the money. All right, give me a number.
Wow.
And I said, it's interesting that you asked me that. I asked myself that on the plane ride up here to New York. I asked myself, is there a number that would keep me here? And the answer is no. There's no number. There's no amount of money that you could pay me that would keep me working for corporate America. I need out. I need my freedom. So that was my journey,
Powerful.
and it was powerful, and it was significant, and yet I always had, even though I was earning a high income, I was doing very well financially, I always felt like I was still held back. I felt like there's way more for me. I know I can make a difference in the world, and I need to explore and see what that is. And that's why I say, to anyone listening to this, you might be in that exact position now. You might be sitting at your corporate job saying, this isn't for me. I know I'm built for something more. I know that I'm meant to do something else. And to you, I say, absolutely you are, and you can. And just start making some changes now. Everything Constance and I have talked about will benefit you to achieve your goal.
Well, you've talked to us about giving, to get into that whole abundance vibration, and about saving and then being in it for the long haul. And guys, if you want to hear something funny, I called Jaden a baller. He didn't even know what a baller was, even though he is one. I had to
You had to
educate my
explain it.
brother.
Yeah, you did.
I'm
You
like,
totally did.
Jaden, you are a baller. What is that? I'm like, oh my God. I'm not doing my job as
True.
a sister. And he is that, but he never knew it. He's so humble. So, Jane, what else? What's another principle that you can share with listeners around money or abundance or financial freedom?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the other thing that I would share that's so important is honor your spirit and follow it.
Mm.
And so here's what I mean by that. If you look at the word prosperity, if we break that word down to its Latin derivative, it's prospere, which means for spirit.
Mm.
So when we're living a prosperous life, we are truly honoring our spirit. So to not look at, and I hear so many financial people would just think I'm just crazy, and I've got, they would look at me like I had three heads, when I'm talking about spirit and money, because they're black and white, they're numbers people, they're and they forget this really huge, powerful part, and that is looking at the word prosperity and who we are. I mean, really, we're spiritual beings running around with a physical body, and we're spiritual beings first. And when we honor that part of us, we can then tune in and tap into our spiritual side for the direction that we need to go. The reality, and people ask me, what do you think the difference is between soul and spirit, and is there a difference, and what is it? And I'm like, yeah, my understanding is soul is if we had a car, we'd want that our soul to drive the car, and spirit's the gas, spirit's fueling the vehicle. And so when we open to the idea, and I probably, knowing you, most of your listeners would be very open to this kind of conversation about money and spirit, that that's a part of us that it knows everything about us. It's the eternal part of us. It's been with us through thick and thin. It knows what's ahead of us. It knows what's behind us, and it knows exactly what we're dealing with right now when it comes to our relationship with money. So wouldn't it make sense that we get to tune into that energy and vibration of our spirit to allow us to get to the goal. Constance, I'm a college dropout, and I
I didn't
retired at
realize
31.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. And and then I went on to build a $12.5 million business in commercial real estate. So if I can do this stuff, anyone can do this. But let me tell you, I built my wealth through following my spirit.
And so when
Hands
you
down.
when you say that, Jaden, following your spirit, does that mean that you tuned in, you sort of got an intuition about something and you've followed that voice or that vibration? What do you mean when you say you followed spirit?
Well, I mean, I collaborated with spirit.
I love that word.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a collaboration economy, don't we? Like, the more people and that we connect in with, the more opportunities we get, and ultimately, the more money. And I've created a very simple formula. I call it the POM, P-O-M formula: people plus opportunities equal money. And so knowing that formula, then I asked Spirit to bring. Look, it's a big planet out there, 7.2
Hmm.
billion people. We got to be able to connect in with the right people, the people that are vibing with us, same frequency, same energy, same vibration. And those are the people who are going to connect in with us and want to do business with us. Those are people who are going to want to help us, to support us, and we can support them. So what I do with Spirit is every morning my prayer is, bring me the people who can hear my message.
Wow,
That's
that
it.
is
It's that easy.
something. Jaden, you're so powerful, and I know you have all kinds of programs for people, but I know that you only want people who vibrate with you and understand, the exchange of the services that you are rendering, for their financial investment. So, talk about some things or some programs that people can um, get involved in that you're doing, where you can help
Sure,
people
thank
with
you.
their money.
Yeah, thank you. Well, one of my favorite money tools and what people tell me from all over the world is my app. It's called the Wealth and Wisdom app, and it's a card deck that I created about 9 years ago.
I remember that.
Remember that one?
Hmm.
Okay. And now we have an app for it. It's in the iTunes Store. It's in Google Play Store. And it lets people ask it, like every morning how I use it is I go to my phone, I say, Universe, what do I need to know today? And I hit that app, and I hit the little X, and it spins the deck, and I get a card. And on each card, I have a description of the card, and then I have an action step on that card. And that is what I end up doing for that day. So that's a tool that people can certainly use and take advantage of, and to give them guidance. That's our card app. It's called Wealth and Wisdom, Jaden Sterling's Wealth and Wisdom Daily Oracle Cards.
So
And
you
then,
you
for
have
folks, yep,
investment programs. What
we
about some
do.
of those? Go ahead.
Sure. So one way to work with us to get started is I call it money therapy. It's a 6-week course that I created where we spend 2 weeks helping people get into the flow of money. We spend another 2 weeks helping them keep money, and then another 2 weeks helping them grow their money.
Mm.
So it's very it's a deep dive into helping someone with their finances to figure things out. And it's life changing. Like I'm so always amazed at what people say to me after they go through the course. It's quite humbling, the results that people get, and that's called money therapy. And if anyone's interested in learning more about that, just send me an email and I can send you information about that. And then, of course, we have is someone who maybe they don't really need money therapy, but they want to learn how to invest their money. I've created a program called Stocks for Freedom, and it's basically built on 30 years of my being a professional investor. I invested my money. It's how I got out of corporate America into stocks, and then I invested. To this day, I still do, and it gives us the freedom for us to, have the lifestyle that we desire. So I put a lot of energy into creating that course. We've gotten incredible results for people. People have pulled their money out of banks. They've pulled their money away from brokerage firms. Because I always say, the person who cares the most about you, about your money, other than your heirs, right, is you. Is you. And you're going to do a far better job than any broker or mutual fund is going to do for you. So now I do have a free training for our listeners if they want to get some of that. I created a blueprint, an investment blueprint to help people start with the investment process, how to few steps that they could take, and then from there they get a free video training. I've recorded 3 different videos to help people improve their investment returns and get comfortable with investing. And they can get that, and I can give you the link to that too, Constance. But it's simple. It's blueprint.stocks, 4 freedom.com.
And so, Jaden, give people your website also. What is your website?
Yes, so my website is my name, Jaden Sterling, JadenSterling.com.
Wow, time just went by so fast, and let me just say, folks, this guy is the real deal, period. But when it comes to money, just take it from me that he is authentic, he's real, and even though he is a baller, he knows exactly what to do. And Jaden, I love the way you really teach and train in very simple terms. And you give people specific how-tos to move them from where they are to just financial freedom. And I just thank God for you and your life. And you are a gift to me. And I just thank you for coming on my show today.
Oh, Constance, thank you. That means a lot to me, and you are a gift to me. And like I say, you teach me all the time, and I love, we have this very open back and forth where we can call each other and say, hey, what do I do about this? Or this is going on. What do you suggest? And I am grateful for you, and I thank God for you every day. Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, visit his website, JadenSterling.com. Is that correct, Jaden?
It is.
Okay. And as I say every week, you may not know it or even feel it, but you are surrounded and supported by the love and the energy of God. And this week, I just want you to think, meditate on, and say that something good is going to happen to me and through me this week. Make a decision to have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Think, Believe, and Manifest. Constance Arnold will be back next week with another great show just for you. For more information, please visit fulfillingyourpurpose.com.